Hi everyone, and welcome back to my my portal of Ascension of Consciousness Expansion, right? And we are creating a project for the military, Ashram for the Marines, of course, right? It's actually a project for DARPA, okay? And freeing ourselves from all these alien implants and from all this hybridization, freeing ourselves from all these MILABs, right? Military abductions from SSP. And it's all under Galactic Codex, under the Law of One. As you know, here the ground crew, the Ashtar Galactic Command, and the Andromeda, and the Solar Rishi consciousness. We are bringing the divine order here back online, where the cosmic sovereign law made manifest, right? So the 12D Ascension protocol, my website, yanakalai.com/protocol, right? So you can find all this necessary information on pieces, right? Like instruction sets, how we're ascending, how we're healing, how we are transforming, right? You know, these very painful energies or trauma, right? PTSD, time to heal, trauma-based mind control from, you know, all these, interesting recruitments and you know, these black ops and psyops, and you know, my cell group ended up in those terroristic organizations, right? And the elite, the high echelon. So you know, healing from SRA, the MK Ultra, pretty much that's the deal here, okay? And you know, we've been dealing with you know, negative aliens and with their agenda, totally desecrating our DNA, you know, and taking over our consciousness and siphoning energy from our Kundalini, right? So time to claim our power back, right? Resurrect all our energies, command our space here, and return to rightful honor, guys. You know, there's a command on Ascension Glossary. So everything that I'm talking about, if you don't understand, Ascension Glossary, Lisa Renee, or Energetic Synthesis, and I will post those links of HIEROS, GAMOS, Crystal Ages, right? Because each and every day we have to strengthen ourselves, right, from within, right? Strong inner core is very important, having that protection of that crystal architecture, crystal spiral, right? That's the also the armor of God, or the Crystal Ages breastplate, okay? And the 12D shielding, working with the platinum light, right? So very important, you know, just to kind of get this going, rolling, so we can exit and the structure of the violence, right? The pastime loop. This is the pastime, the phantom matrix for my cell group, right? Who ended up, you know, in that fallen tree of life, right? Because of all these violence, rape, and mind control, gene expression, like all this mind control and gene manipulation, mutation, right? So we have to, right? They have to exit. That's the AI red wave frequency, and they at least partially, you know, get some ascension energies going within their light bodies, within their DNA, their hologram, right? And start breathing and feeling their true divine nature. So again, welcome to my platform. This is for star seeds, you know, highly deviant souls here, empath sensitive. Like I said, it's for military sector here. I was through all these astral surgeries and astral abductions and all these kind of interesting things, right? They turned me into kind of marine or super marine, super soldier, and so on. And because I wanted to introduce yoga to military, I got a backlash, and right, they were trying to create a clone and cyborg, or for partially they did that, right? I've been compromised. You know, I'm like the Manchurian candidate who kind of had to gather all my strength, and with the cosmic energies, and with Ashtar, the Pleiadians, right? And you know, also with the Andromeda crystal star family, and of course with my spiritual families, right? They were helping me, or able to put me back together. We already came here as ascended. We are here in reconnaissance mission, CHRISTOS mission, right? Bring everything right side up. I mean, detect all these horrible things, unethical experimentations happening, right, in those underground military bases. I mean, pretty much monitoring the deep state, or you know, the dark cabal, right? Because I'm part of that bloodline. So and so on. So you know, somebody has to kind of incarnate in these lineages and stop the cycle of that nonsense of transhumanism, transgenderism, right? All these genocides, all this mind control, MK Ultra, all this torture, all this SRA, what they're doing to children, the adrenochrome harvesting, right? All these cybernetics, skeletonics, robotics, right? The AI is so highly advanced. I talk about the AI of those negative aliens, and of course the black magicians there in DARPA, right? The fallen angelics, right? The draconians, and so on, and how the elite, right? If you read their energy, or the high echelon and so on, how those individuals, they've been groomed, right? And they went through all kinds of torture, experimentation, LSD, they've been hybridized, right? Hybridized. And we talk about the implants, right? Implants, behavior profile, very important. And even their neurons and brains being kind of taken over, right? Electronic implants, Nazi Neuralink, the bionic brain, right? They ended up in those electrostatic bodies, the fallen tree of life, the fallen the artificial Merkaba, the fallen tree of life, the black tree, the Kabbalah, the fallen kind of Kabbalah, 10D spheres, right? So yeah, we talk about these kind of Hebrew or Jewish lineages that have been hybridized, right, reptilianized and so on, and turned into digital or dark avatars, into the Khazarian mafia, into the Mossad, the Zionist, and the ISIS, the Israeli intelligence, with all these proxy wars with proxy Israel, okay? And so here just the profile, because here we're reading energies, very important, read the energies, right? That's why we need to do chakra clearing, right? On my website, under protocol or services, there's this audio files for clearing. It's from Crystal Ages. There's the introduction for the Ascension, right? And there are guidelines for the Ascension. Identifying fear, very important. Begin to clear fear from chakras, right? So chakra cleansing, clearing, purification, solfeggio tones, healing music, you can find it on the 12D protocol, right? From the Guardians, for my cell group, for the Marines, for the Echelon, for Hydra, okay? And very important to declare intention to ascend, or at least to heal, to expand your consciousness, right? To be free, to be happy, right? We're also adhering, or we're going back to the Constitution of 1776, very important. And clearing our emotional negativity, because the Ascension is all about 99% is pretty much emotional clearing, right? Getting back to our intuition, to our emotions, to how we feel, and slowly and surely, dismantling and deactivating and detaching from that all these infection AI, cutting those cords with those black magicians, healing, and exiting, the whole blood covenants, warrants of secrecy, right? And so the soul binding, so cutting those cords, very important, right? Talk about the soul of Christ, Archangel Michael, invocation of the violet flame, and so on, right? Everything is there on my website, yanakalai.com. So relationship closure exercise, right? So also I would, all these bloodlines, or all these negative aliens and so on, right? With all these hybridizations, we need to really dive deep within and reconnect with our soul family, our star family, our spiritual family, right? Feeling our true divine nature, very important. Basic cord cutting and the 12D shield technique is extremely important. Time to, again, embark on our journey, right, to master ourselves. So there are energetic self-mastery tools on Ascension glossary, or that's Lisa Arena's material energetic synthesis, Crystal Ages, right? Very important, because here we're dealing with Anunnaki, we're dealing with the Thotian, Leviathan, we're dealing with the fallen angelic, like I said, with Dracos, with Draconians, with Dracs, with Zetas, right, and their technology, looking glass technology. So very important to here recognize those, whether in the military, politicians, echelon, or the Marines, right, guys in military and so on. So I always recognize their shadow self, right? They have possessions, right? They have all kinds of entities, because receiving the CCP jets, all these nanobots, nanotechnology, all this venom, right? And like I said, it goes through the blood-brain barrier, right? Into the brain, it kind of creates the software, and that's how they are hooked to the cloud of the whether the Draco, the Dark Fleet, and so on. So here with the disclosure, right, we have to read these energies, how those guys, their bodies become a portal for those dark forces to enter. And this is really who's been ruling these planets, especially like as the military sector, right? The dark SSP, you know, those black ops, you know, the military covered operations, right? These underground alien military bases, right? And moon was moon, you know, Mars, the Giza intelligence, and the Alpha Draconis, right? And the Orion group, and with the Chimera, the Orion and the Chimera group, right? Or the other, yeah. So they've been you know, kind of their DNA was inserted, right, into my cell group or into the bloodline, right? It's called the hybridization, right? And then they are creating the dark digital avatars out of us to fulfill their agenda. There's a Nazism 4.0. So do you see how complex that is, right? So very important, we need to understand the agenda of those negative aliens, the entire structure, read the energies, right? So that's why the inner work, transformational work, healing work is extremely important, so we really understand what's going on. That's why we have the galactic or cosmic military tribunals, right? And the ground crew here with the star seeds here, monitoring everything and deciphering everything, and, you know, doing whatever needs to be done in order to finally break through, right? The compression breakthrough, and we can liberate ourselves from these dark forces, guys. Very important. So the Sigma Draconis, the whole kind of black magic grid, you know, with the Baphomet network, guys, this is all real, right? They putting their DNA into the Essene Templars DNA, and that's how, you know, all this digression and all these reversals happening, right? Just talk about the reversals in your DNA, the red cube technology, right? All these infection parasites, suppressive parasite entities, guys. And here the military, of course, the Alpha Draconis, the Draconians, right? Also, I have the Draco, I'm Draconis, right? So that's kind of the DNA, right? So they're hybridizing with us, all these also forced breeding, right? The Anunnaki or the Nephilim and so on. And you know, this is how they want to terraform the planet and create transhumans, transgenders, or slaves out of humanity and angelic divine luminous races. So, you know, time to claim our power back, time to understand our cosmic galactic history, time to really remember who we truly are, right? And free ourselves, you know, free us, and you know, time to also can connect, reconnect via the inner Christos, right, to the divine spark within that sacred chamber of our heart. Very important. So the Galactic Codex, the law of grace, right? So everything is there, guys. So again, studying ourselves, studying, you know, all these principles of ascension mechanics, right? And studying the 13 principles of natural laws and the universal laws, very important. So, and transforming our inner shadow, and, you know, the bloodline, right, that needs to be finally healed. We need to cut those cords, right, from all this black magic, from all this spell, from all this voodoo, and from that SRA, okay, and military abductions, and all these unethical experimentations, right? That's all coming to the surface, okay? And we have a project for DARPA, for MC, for, you know, the high echelon, you know, for the Marines, for Hydra, right? Helping them, you know, with their rehabilitation, getting them back on track, and at least help them with partial ascension. Okay, guys? So I just wanted to make it clear so this is my, well, ascension, my disclosure, right? And my disclaimer, only take what resonates with you and leave the rest. So there is some really good material here from this book, you know, A Gift from the Stars, right? That was the book of Alien Races from Elena Danaan. You know, I loved her painting and drawings. That helped me because I'm also very visual, and I see these entities in my aura energy field because I was hooked to the internet of all things. And of course, we've been dealing, let me see, we've been dealing with the, yeah, so the Sikar Empire, right? The Draco Empire, right? So-called all-seeing eye that's been inverted, right? All the energy currents within our grid and within our consciousness, our meridians, our chakras, they were reversing us, and even the flow in our brain and playing with our brainwave frequencies, right, through all these satellites and all these, targeting us via directed energy weapons. And that's why the 5G towers and all these radio waves, right, is now under the law of one, is all going to divine justice. Extremely harmful electromagnetic field, right? Field that they were building around the earth. It was done globally, but also here around home, houses, schools, right? All kinds of institutions, corporations, and so on. So we need to address that, okay? And what else I want to also show, that I've been also dealing with lots of these grays, because I've been hybridized and I have hybrid children. And we talk about zetas, right? Zetas and so on. So that's going to be like also part of it, these hybridized new human race, cosmic star beings as well, right? So this is complex operations, all about frequency vibration, loving ourselves, taking care of ourselves, the forgiveness, right? Very important, and just being compassionate with everything that happened to us, okay? So, and like I said, talking about the violet flame invocation, right? For the transformation, for healing, for liberation, as we're entering the golden age, right? The dawning of Aquarius is happening. It's coming online, and the Solar Christ Archangel Michael, right, for our protection, and placing the golden dome around us, very important, right? And being the true spiritual warriors, right? Because it's time to be free, like to be happy and to feel our power, because it's been siphoned from us and we've been digressed, oppressed, right? All these implants, right? The 5G towers, the chemtrails, the fluoride in the water, did I say GMO food, right? And all these horrible things, especially in the military, and now of course children being chipped and all this stuff. So this is all going to divine justice. That justice will be served, and we're the star seeds. We're coming up with the ET disclosure, right? Very important. Talk about the extraterrestrials and about the aliens and their agenda and about exopolitics, guys. So it's very important to be kind of familiar with these terms and just kind of know what's going on, right? We need to, of course, heal ourselves, heal our shadow, transform it, and also seize the inner conflicts within us, so-called jihad, right? We need to really find peace that resides within us, right? Be the peace that passes all understanding, walking with Christ, knowing the teachings, right, of the ascended masters, right, Yeshua, and other masters, right? And let me see, the teachings from the solar rishis, the yogis, rishis, right? This is kind of my platform. This is what I resonate with, and this is what I came here to kind of share with my gifts and talents. Before we start talking about the alien implants, right, and the behavior profile, I just want to also, last time I mentioned about the guardian perspective of the central nervous system. We have to protect our brain. Very important, because it's been hijacked and damaged through DNA manipulation and so on, and with all these artificial technologies for enslavement via electromagnetic field manipulation, right? So the consciousness, the awareness has to happen, right? What's been happening here on earth, and all these siphoning energy, redirecting forces, reversing energetic currents using harmful frequencies that impact the bioenergetic field of a human being, nature, and the earth, okay? And this neurological damage repels the higher frequency spiritual energetic bodies. Why some people have a hard time to connect with their soul? How come some people, right, they're so addicted, whether to AI or all kinds of drugs, right, and medications and so on, right? Because we've been here in a very disharmonious environment, and with all people, we end up with cognitive dissonance, right? And again, on energetic synthesis, right, .com, Lisa Renee, her latest blog is on the abuse of drugs, right? And what is for spiritual pursuit, right? So you can study that article as well. And because they don't want us to ascend, right? and they want us to be in a state of hopelessness, the Pavlovian conditioning, right? Being conditioned, being mind controlled, being in desperation, being in anxiety, and being in fear. So that's what the negative aliens, they want to instill, right? But the power lies from within, power lies within, the kingdom of heaven is within. And so that's why, you know, we have to be strong and do the inner work, transformational work. This neurological damage creates schism in the brain function and brain diseases, right? And that accelerates into deterioration like manic, bipolar, or you're schizophrenic, and so on, and soul fragmentation. And that's, you know, we're helping, you know, the veterans, you know, my stall group there, the Marines, right, who ended up in those dark projects, or under CIA, right, the CIA terror operatives in terroristic organizations, and some of all these alien implants, holographic inserts with suppressor parasite entities, right, and so on. So we're helping them to heal, right, their frequency vibration through sound bath healing, right, listening to solfeggio tones, 432 hertz in some beautiful environment, nature, and so on, right, doing some yoga, meditation, Ayurvedic cooking, okay, superfood, okay, so distilled water, organic fruits and vegetables, okay. And so the central nervous system can be healed through spiritual energetic causal pathways, which is what we are learning to accomplish with the HIEROS GAMOS system. So again, energetic synthesis / HIEROS GAMOS, right? I will post all the links in the description box. So it's all about, you know, just diving deep, or just kind of, you know, checking those links and just plunging into these energies, right? I mean, of course, cautiously, but at your own tempo, you know, your own pace, how you feel inspired, right? Understand the breathing, the breath work is very important, and working with the Katara grid, the tree of life, right? Very important. The 12 spheres of consciousness is how consciousness travels through time and space, right? And even within our bodies and chakras and meridians and so on. So understand, you know, the ascension mechanics, right? And how those negative ones, they were desecrating and damaging the divine code within our DNA, right? Especially the Draco 10D reversals, right? They pretty much got rid of the 12 sphere, 12 dimension, and the 8, that's your higher heart chakra, right? And we were running reversals. They were running reversals in our hologram, in our light bodies, in our mind body, in our emotional body, and, you know, the astral plane got extremely infected and hijacked. That's why my cell group ended up in the astral slavery, right? Being on drugs, on steroids, all these addictions run by AI. They were hooked to the Nephilim reversal grid, the Baphomet network, right? The black magic grid of DARPA, right? And the negative aliens, they were running the show and then kind of masquerading like they're the gods. Well, it's just because of high advanced technology, and that's, you know, they're siphoning energy from us. We're the batteries, actually, for them, right? You know, we are the source for them. So that's why it's so important to understand who we truly are and claim our power back, right? Cut those cords. Soul union is very important. The forgiveness, compassion, right? The 5D protocol from Telos, right? Their star family helping us in the inner earth. With the ascension, walking those energies of love and faith and trust and grace and gratitude and compassion is very important, guys. So we can finally breathe and we can finally live in peace, unity, harmony, CHRISTOS SOPHIA consciousness, okay? And creating the new earth, because we are the co-creators, right? With the divine, under the law of one, with free will. And so this is, again, not an easy topic. Just to understand that is very important for the disclosure. I would say cosmic, starseed, galactic disclosure, exposing the wrongdoing in those higher places. We have to understand, you know, the energies. We have to understand where we come from, right? And this is very complex. So, you know, again, taking care of ourselves, right? Having that 12D shielding and grounding, very important. And, you know, understand understand that there is a law of cause and effect, that justice will be served. We're implementing also the golden rule here. How do we want to be treated? This is how we treat others, right? So, and speaking our truth with loving kindness, right? This is our birthright under the law of one and the Constitution of 1776. So we're kind of all training ourselves, right? And making things happen. So, so in the application of an artificial intelligence implant, so we talk about these alien implants such as sexual misery or victim-victimizer frequency coded mind control implant. Its mechanism acts like a tick or leech that burrows itself deeper into the lower area of the astral body, mostly into the first and second layers of the perineum and sexual organs. So we talk about the first and second chakras, right? Being infected and running reversals and being impaired and being damaged, especially my soul group, Marines, you know, what is done to them, okay? It's very unethical and it's going to divine justice. It's a total travesty. An implant in the sexual organs directly impacts the instinctual reactions and emotional response functions, which run stimulated impulses into the spinal cord, brain, and throughout the central nervous system. So this is what happened, the entire infection, right? How they get into your nadis, that's the back of your heart chakra, okay? And totally infected my spinal cord, infected, you know, my brain and my central nervous system, right? And my spine's been damaged. So I have all kinds of, you know, interesting implants here, and all these skeletonics, you know, all kinds of, you know, AI technology running through me and so on. So remember, there's a good faction and negative faction whether of AI, right? And we're dealing with those negative aliens, but the Ashtar Galactic Command, they're good ETs, benevolent ETs helping us with all that. Okay, with all this rehabilitation and with liberation, with healing, and with the transition to the next octave, harmonic universe number 2. Many implants are also targeted into the nerval plexus at the base of the skull, and it's talk about the medulla oblongata, right, which is the location of the atomic doorway, the access area into the medulla oblongata, where the inner spiritual light reflects out of the eyes from the embodied monad. Monad, that's your 7, 8, and 9 dimensions, 7, 8, and 9 chakra. And that in these projects where my cell group is Marines, their monadic selves been reversed. They were running 7D reversals, 8D reversals, 9D reversals without their informed consent, right? Of course, if they're Pleiadians, right? Or if they're Indigo warriors, so they are 5D, 6D, has been also hijacked and infected. So that inner light will die or become dead in the eyes after this mind control implant takes control over the body through the central nervous system manipulation, which stimulates the pathological thoughts of the negative ego. That's why we talk about the negative ego, right? The predator mind needs to drop with this whole Luciferian covenant, right? The soul binding, the blood covenant, those lunar forces. We are going solar, we're going galactic. We have the solar zodiac already established since last year, right? So you can go on Ascension glossary, galactic zodiac with 13 signs, okay? And now we are finally healing ourselves and resurrecting ourselves from that red wave frequency, from all this violence, from this sodomy, right? Let me see. So yeah, this the red wave frequency now via what the Galactic Codex and the Cosmic Solar Rishis, they are here. The Ruby Sun DNA, right? We are correcting, you know, the infection in your first chakra or in your first sphere. All right. So we can finally heal the entire cataract grid hologram, the entire divine DNA blueprint. 12D, right? That's why I talk about the 12D ascension, 12 dimensions, 12 chakras, the cataract grid, and so on, right? Because the negative aliens, like I said, they don't have the access to the 12D. So that's why we talk about, you know, the 12D shielding, and we talk about the crystal ages, the platinum light, right? And the 7 original tones of creation. That's the Ka, Ra, Ya, Sa, Ta, A, La. Karayasata Allah, that's the crystal ages breastplate, okay? So yeah, also don't forget that again, so these are the chakras here. The first, that's the first chakra, and that was the AI infection, right, in that red wave frequency, right? And we are correcting all that, so we can finally, you know, liberate ourselves from that 3D matrix, right? And embody our soul energies. And some of us, even our monatic self can be corrected, and we can finally embody our avatar self. That's our 12D divine original blueprint, okay, of who we truly are. Christos avatar, Christos Templars, right? And here with the star seeds, we're working with the Rishi intelligence, divine intelligence, 13, 14, 15 dimension, right? The Emerald order, the Gold order, the Amethyst order, right? The threefold founder flame of power, love, and wisdom. Okay, so these are the teachings of the ascended masters, and from Far East, right? You know, the Tibetan masters, okay, from Himalaya and so on. So the warriors of Shambhala, Shangri-La, right? They're helping us, the solar rishis, right? They're helping us with this whole healing and resurrection. And this is to block the spiritual body for coming into embodiment in the physical layer. So this is how we are being disconnected via all these frequency fences, negative aliens, their agenda, right? Secret space program, DARPA, and so on, right? How they're disconnecting us from our soul, from our oversoul, from our spiritual self. It's all going to divine justice. It's common to target etheric implants into the reptilian brain to activate the survival or fear-based thoughts. And these are placed in the base structure of the brain stem via the medulla oblongata. This is a way to manipulate the atomic impulses sent to the brain in order to change perception or stimulate thought control via the negative ego mechanism, which triggers activity in the lower 3 layers of the subconscious mind. That's your first chakra. Instinctual mind, that's your second chakra. And conscious mind, that's your 3rd chakra, solar plexus, right? So that's why we talk about also the bija mantras, how important, right? Start chanting and doing those sounds, reverberating the frequency vibration in 1, 2, 3 with lum, vum, and rum, right? Lum, vum, rum, yum, hum, Very important, guys. Get your energy going, flowing, right? Very important. The chakras, that's the lam, vam, and the ram, right? Liberating ourselves from the 1, 2, 3 chakra, especially for my soul group, right? Digital, those digital avatars, from that dark occult, right? This whole black magic grid, turn them into black magicians, right? And so on, right? So from the predator mind, from the ego, the reptilian consciousness, right? So that's why we work with this first 3 chakras, healing them, clearing them, and so on, right? Working also with the fear kind of matrix hologram, right? Everything is on that audio files for clearing on Crystal Ages on my website, yanakalai.com protocol, okay? So you can listen to those audios and just start breathing and start feeling your energy coming back to you, because all these energies been siphoned from us, and they created these clones and drones and cyborgs, right? Digital avatars out of us, and that's who we are not, right? The walking AI on the battlefield, executing the agenda of those negative aliens, executing the Armageddon software. I mean, with the Armageddon software, executing the Nazism 4.0, right? Without informed consent. So this is all going to divine justice, right? Like you had all these proxy wars, you know, with Afghanistan, with Iraq, right? First, you know, there's a narrative that the Iraq is being liberated once the Iraq is penetrated. Now it's being invaded, right? All these innocent people were killed or murdered. You can see it on footages of Julian Assange, right? So this how the AI is so highly advanced. So anybody like in the military, right? That's why these things are happening, because these guys are hooked to the phantom matrix. They're and listening to the Godma algorithm, and their limbic system is being hijacked, right? Their amygdala is being also kind of damaged, right? Amygdala, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and their crown chakra is totally being shattered, right? This is what happened to me with all these crucifixion implants, alien implants, Zeta seals, 66 Templar seals, right? Also tailbone implants, and so on, right? Making you a drug addict, sex addict, and it's all run by AI. Even their machine guns are run by AI of those negative aliens, right? And all these satellites, you know, and they have quantum supercomputers. These are the proxy wars with proxy Israel. This is what we are talking about. So here, guys, join military, right? They're in those military bases, right? They're already entering the Phantom Matrix, and through all these recruitments, right? This is how they're creating dark avatars out of them, and with all being dissociated, being possessed, being on drugs, right? Being on alcohol, right? And just totally totally out of touch with true nature of reality, and being dissociated, and they've been severed from their soul, from their true divine essence. That's why we need to correct everything, bring everything right side up, and you know, we have a project for them. Okay, so until a person can realize that this is happening to them through a default setting made within their autonomic nervous system, fight and flight, and they learn to re-engage with their parasympathetic system, they're unable to shift out of the negative ego reaction stimulated by the implants. So that's why it's so important, guys, to understand this, so we can really liberate ourselves from from the black magic, from those negative aliens and their agenda. So how important to understand the sympathetic, right, and parasympathetic nervous system, right? What kind of organs are being affected, or what they're connected to, right? Again, you can find it on the Ascension glossary. Those are the 3 areas of neurological system, right? Central nervous system. So we need to correct our brain. I mean, well, the brain, I mean, the synapses, the neurotransmitters, the energy, right? The frequency vibration needs to be restored via all these beautiful beaming technologies from space. This is what I've been experiencing. The tachyon healing chambers and so on, you know, and sound bath healing, right? Listening to solfeggio tones and being outside nature, listening to the sound of the ocean, and you know, feeling the wind and so on, and facing the sun, the solar plasma frequency coming online, guys. This is how we are resurrecting and coming back to our sanity and feeling our true divine nature, who we truly are. Okay, so I'll talk to you next time. Many blessings and namaste. Bye bye.